Given that Evin Harrigan was raised by parents who were involved in a criminal organization, Conrad and Maeve, his life has surely been terrible. He was often raped and incarcerated, which increased his susceptibility to his malevolent father's wishes. Evin lived with a wife who secretly chased his closest friend and was misled for years about the true identity of his believed son. According to the MobLand climax, Evin started regaining control over his own life as well as the Harrigan criminal organization.It will be difficult for Evin to ascend to the throne while Conrad and Maeve are still alive. He has Harry's affection and admiration, but if he wants to be the real ruler of the empire, he will have to gain the respect and affection of every soldier in the Harrigan criminal organization. Furthermore, it will be Evin's responsibility to instill fear and respect in his rivals and adversaries. Even though Richie is no longer there, Evin now has to deal with more powerful players like McAllister and Jaime Lopez. Evin must gain authority over the Harrigan crime enterprise. His last name will only get him so far. After saving Serafina's life in Antwerp and arranging for Conrad and Jaime to meet, Kat called in one of the favors Harry owed her when they sat down one-on-one in the MobLand season finale. Regretfully, she used Harry's assistance to eliminate the last of the Harrigans, allowing Kat to seize control of the London drug and firearms trade. Because of his unwavering devotion to the Harrigans in general and to his best buddy Evin in particular, who was on Kat's list of targets to murder, Harry firmly declines. McAllister is one of the most influential figures in the criminal underground, as has been established, but it is still incredibly unclear what her position and connections are. Although it was widely believed that she was an intelligence agent for the CIA, MI6, etc., her desire to infiltrate the London drug and firearms trade suggests that she was a major criminal herself. Although it has long been known that owing her anything is a grave error, Harry has now made himself a target as well. Remarkably, Kat reached out to Serafina Harrigan in the season finale, which could be her play now that Harry has abandoned her. Kat might consider using Serafina as her puppet at the head of the family rather than eradicating the Harrigans in large numbers. Serafina is a brilliant, fearless businesswoman with the appropriate last name and reputation in London, so it makes perfect sense for her to be Kat's ally. She might be the final weapon Kat uses to exact revenge on Harry, destroying the Harrigan empire from within. Given that Evin Harrigan was raised by parents who were involved in a criminal organization, Conrad and Maeve, his life has surely been terrible. He was often raped and incarcerated, which increased his susceptibility to his malevolent father's wishes. Evin lived with a wife who secretly chased his closest friend and was misled for years about the true identity of his believed son. According to the MobLand climax, Evin started regaining control over his own life as well as the Harrigan criminal organization. With Maeve and Conrad still alive, Evin's ascent to the throne will not be simple. He has Harry's affection and admiration, but if he wants to be the real ruler of the empire, he will have to gain the respect and affection of every soldier in the Harrigan criminal organization. Furthermore, it will be Evin's responsibility to instill fear and respect in his rivals and adversaries. Even though Richie is no longer there, Evin now has to deal with more powerful players like McAllister and Jaime Lopez. Evin must gain authority over the Harrigan crime enterprise. His last name will only get him so far. The season finale marked the end of the irritating lack of detail of Bella's plan involving her father, the Home Secretary, Antoine, a Frenchman, and his client, a Syrian arms dealer under sanctions. We discovered that Bella's father had been jailed on suspicion of illicit lobbying or extortion after a succession of background news broadcasts aired on her computer and phone. In order to exact revenge on her father for raping and torturing her as a kid, Bella arranged the meeting with the guns dealer in order to use video footage of his illegal activities to trap him. To be honest, the explanation for Maeve's constant plotting is a little tenuous and nearly seems to have been invented on the moment. But when she and Conrad discuss the burners they smuggled into their prison cells, Maeve says that everything she did, whether it was calling the police anonymously to put them on Harry's trail, giving Richie Stevenson the location of Serafina, or sicking Eddie on Tommy Stevenson and starting a war, was part of her own personal test. In other words, Maeve wanted to choose which family members were valuable enough to be the foundation of the future. Additionally, the conclusion gives much-needed background on why Maeve detested Serafina and was so attached to Eddie. Maeve fell in love with Eddie before he was even a teenager, even though she always knew he wasn't her grandson. In essence, she has been preparing him to be the heir to the Harrigan Empire, which is her top priority. In order to continue ruling vicariously now that Eddie is in charge, Mave also plans to become the queen of his realm, something that would not have been feasible with an adult Serafina at the head of the table. The conflict between the Stevensons and the Harrigans ended abruptly and violently in the season finale of Ronan Bennett's MobLand, and the main players in the Harrigan criminal organization entered a larger and more perilous world. Harry de Souza finally put a stop to the fight with the Stevensons after Conrad and Maeve were imprisoned. The identity of the rat that had been providing Richie with intelligence for months was one of the many mysteries surrounding the inner circle of the Harrigans that were resolved en route to the dramatic denouement. In order for Harry, Kevin, Paul, Zosia, and Kiko to kill the South London criminal lord and all of his soldiers in a simultaneous ambush, Harry leveraged Richie's faith in the Harrigans' own attorney, O'Hara Delaney. Refocused by the exorcism of his longtime tormentor, jail guard Alan Rusby, Kevin asserts his claim to the throne of the Harrigan criminal empire in another scene. Kevin fully rejected Eddie after establishing that he was, in reality, Conrad's son with his wife, Bella, and labeled him Conrad's problem rather than his own.